God has brought me to this moment, and I'm sure He's going to use me and take this moment and take this journey that I'm on to completion. I totally trust Him with my life and with my journey, but it didn't start now. It started many years ago. I first had cancer back in 2001, very early stage. It was breast cancer. I was fortunate. They found it on a mammogram, and I was able to just have a lumpectomy and radiation. And I healed well from that, went right back to my life. God, though, was still using me, and I was still growing up in Him. And but I never, it was part of my history, but I didn't look for a bigger meaning. Lord, what are you trying to teach me through this? So I continued my life, various medical issues, but nothing major. And in the meantime, though, the Lord has been using me and growing me up. I've wanted to really dwell into the Word. And my husband and I have been digging deeper and deeper and sharing and listening to the Lord. So, living my life normally, last November, I found a lump in my breast. Totally surprised because I had maybe 5 months earlier a mammogram and it was totally clear. So this kind of threw me for a loop. I was in Florida. I called my doctor and arranged for things to get going as soon as I got back home. And when I returned, then I, went through a mammogram and breast ultrasound. They confirmed that the lump was suspicious, and then my journey started. So from there, I ended up having a biopsy. The biopsy was positive for invasive cancer, and that rocked my world. I thought, God, what are you up to? He's up to something. He just had, knew that the Lord was in control, and I trusted Him with this. And so, but I thought, Lord, why now? Why this? This is brand new. What's going on? And I kept, in my mind, I kept thinking, you're up to something, Lord. You're up to something. And I trust you with this, Lord. All in all, I just trust you. So the cancer diagnosis was a surprise. Also a surprise to my family when I told them. My kids were very, very sad. It was, potentially life-threatening. But I kept telling my family, Lord, I trust you. And so I want them to trust you too, that no matter what I'm going through, they can trust you. And so I think they were at greater ease knowing that I was at ease and I was not being shaken by this. So the first step after the diagnosis, I met with the cancer care team, and they told me what the next steps would be. But while I was waiting for the upcoming surgery that I would have to undergo, they needed some more tests. So the first test that I had done was a breast MRI. The doctor said, I don't like what I see. I want you to have a CAT scan. And during these tests, you are placed on a bed. And I remember having to go, and I think it was with the CAT scan, the CT scan, that they placed me on the metal sort of a drawer that goes in and out. And he had me wrapped up in a blanket and then totally strapped in. And so I was sort of like a mummy just laying there. And the one thing he asked me is, Chris, would you like to listen to any music? And I said, yes, could you please put on a Christian radio station? The first song that came on was Good, Good Father, and I'm loved by you. And I thought, thank you, Lord. So I knew that God loved me. He had me where he wanted me, and he was in control, and I just had to keep trusting. The next song that came on was by Casting Crowns, Just Be Held. And I listened to the words, and life hits you out of nowhere, barely keeps you hanging on, and just be held. And that's exactly what I was at that moment. God was just holding me in his arms because I was strapped in, and he was just, it was so comforting to know that he was just there holding me so tightly. And again, I didn't need to worry. And that was, again, just so comforting. Well, that exam did not end well with the CAT scan. The doctor, there were other areas that were suspicious in my body. So he ordered a complete PET scan. So 2 days later, I'm going in for the PET scan, and I thought, Lord, I'm in such a dark place right now. I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying not to worry. I turn it over to you, but I'm really afraid they're going to find other areas in my body. And there were other areas that came up and other areas went away. And the surgeon conferred with the medical oncologist, and they determined that those probably were not cancerous, and they were maybe infectious lesions. So they decided that I was cleared for surgery and I could go. I had the privilege of being able to talk to both surgeons and both nurses who were in the room with me, and I said, could we please pray together? I'd like to pray with you. And they didn't know what to do, but I said, let's just join hands, and we prayed together. And I said, thank you, I'm just privileged to have you as surgeons, and I trust you. And they left, and I saw them the next morning, and my surgery was long, but I knew God was in control. And the best news I had after that was that my lymph nodes were clear, and they thought they got the cancer. So it was just such wonderful news to hear that. So as I healed, I was doing really, really well. I was really feeling like, Lord, thank you. I dodged a bullet. Thank you so much for taking care of me and seeing me through this. And then I had to meet with a medical oncologist. And one of the tests that they had done is a new test called a MammaPrint. And the MammaPrint looks at the DNA of the tumor in my breast, and it determines whether I'm at a low risk or a high risk of reoccurrence within 3 to 5 years. And the medical oncologist, I was fully expecting him to say, normally, because no lymph node involvement, they got the tumor fairly early, looks good. But he came back that no, you're at a high risk for reoccurrence without chemotherapy.
Just be held. If your eyes are on a storm, you wonder if I love you still.